of its coordinator. What kind of curveball is that for your staff this week?
It's definitely one, right? I mean, it's. I thought last year, Phil Longo had the best game plan against our defense of anyone that we faced. And so sometimes we refer to it. I'll say like, hey, it's the Wisconsin game plan when people do elements of it from things they did last year. And so with him being gone, you don't know exactly what you're going to see, right? I mean, obviously, Coach Fickell's a great head coach. They're going to play great defense. They want to run the football. They want to take shots down the field. We kind of have a general idea of who they are and what they do, but you have a whole other element now that you have to prepare for. So I think best thing we can do is just focus on ourselves and try to fix some of the issues we had last week that prevented us from winning.
What were the hallmarks of that game plan?
I remember. I was trying to think of what I want to say or not say just because they're listening. They did a nice job with the quarterback draw against us last year. Like Tanner Mordecai broke out in the quarterback draw. They ran a lot of outside zone. They picked a time. They run some outside zone, kind of in some tempo, and then try to push the ball down the field. Because we don't match man, they would motion Pauling to number 3 and try to have him run option routes against our safety. They would show us one formation and motion to another because they know Tony signals late or he has someone else signal for him late. So 4 or 5 things that really pretty creative that people hadn't done that a lot of people have copied since.
Do you take note of any of the parallels that exist between Nebraska and Wisconsin over the last 2 seasons?
Well, just the fact that we're in the same position, as we were last year, both 5-5, trying to win one more game. They beat us last year in overtime. They won another game, got a chance to go to a bowl game. I know it's a lot of years for them going to a bowl game in a row. I 100% believe in the impact that has on your program and your development over time. So we're right back in the same spot, with a chance for us to hopefully us win the game and then extend the season and watch the development for our young players. But other than that, I mean, Coach took over that job. He's trying to get them to break through. We are where we are right now. We're trying to get ourselves to break through. It's not happened yet for us. It can be frustrating, but also energizing in that I do feel like we're at the point where we could. we're getting closer to getting to that point. So instead of taking a big picture look, I just try to narrow my focus down and just keep chopping and hitting at the same spot.
What's your thought on those seniors, with it being senior day, who decided to come back and just try to go out with a bang there?
Well, first of all, I love and respect them. Anytime you're trying to be the first to do something, and when I say, obviously there's been great history here, but trying to end, the bowl drought and all the things we talk about. I mean, it's always hard to be the first, right? It's hard to break the 4-minute mile, and then it got broke again a month later, whatever it was. So it's hard to be the first, and then the guys after them will see it, right? Ty Robinson went from probably like a 6th or 7th round pick last year to, he just got East-West invite, Senior Bowl invite. He's going to get a combine invite. He's racing up people's boards. That will be the expectation for like Keona and those guys, right? Like, oh, that's okay. So, I mean, Ty's out there. I'm sitting with 2 scouts last week, and Ty gets into a fist fight with a scout team lineman in the middle of practice, which we don't love the fight, but he has that much intensity, right? And it's like, oh, that's what it looks like. So I do all these things. I work really hard. And he's also going to be a doctor. I get also great in school. So I think there have been great examples. There's a special place in my heart for all of them. I think we'll have 29 or 30 guys go through. A couple guys don't know if they want to come back or not, so we always encourage them, go through senior day. And then if you want to come back, come back. There's 6 guys that are 5th-year seniors. There's 5 guys that are 6th-year seniors, all at Nebraska only, right? Did I say that right, Keith? Yeah, so you think about on offense, Bryce Benhart, Ramir Johnson, Javen Wright, John Bullock, and Ty Robinson, and all the different journeys that they've taken, and so you think about there's a lot of 5th-year seniors, guys, guys at Gifford who decided to come back, other guys who transferred in. So I certainly would love to end their career not just with a win, but with them being the ones who break through. There's a big difference. Not getting a win, but hey, make the plays. We absolutely could have won the game last week, but the shoulda, woulda, coulda gets you nowhere. You got to go do it. So I want them to be able to walk off the field with their, heads held high, knowing that they got it done. And I expect everyone in our program, every coach, every player, to throw everything they have to help our seniors go make that happen. And but I don't want to underestimate the impact of seeing it happen. Like, Jamari and Marquise, before I came here, Jamari Butler and Marquise Buford asked me if they could come back for another year. And the fact that they want to stay in the program, to me, is that's great. But I think they see what happened to Ty. They see the acceleration of his career and want to do the same thing. So I couldn't be more grateful to those guys who did come back and what they've shown to the younger players.
At one point you mentioned Singleton maybe could try to get another year. Is that a possibility? Or?
I think Deshaun, even if he could, would probably go pro. I think he's probably going to get some invites. I think he's racing up people's boards right now. Everyone asked me about him. What happened with Deshaun is obviously he went to junior college and he came here, and then he played 4 games and he played 1 play against Michigan. And so I petitioned the NCAA because obviously everything that happened against Michigan last year seems like there's some cloak of, whatever. He got cracked on a run play. Did they know it was a run play? Is that game going to count in a couple of years? So I thought he shouldn't get penalized for 1 play in a game that's, in my mind, not even a real game, but the NCAA disagreed. So he did not get that year back. With that being said, I think Deshaun would probably have that year and say, Coach, thanks a lot. I'm going to take my talents to the next level because I think he's doing a really good job. But I wanted him to do that. Academically, he could use the year to finish his degree. So I thought he deserved that, but the NCAA disagreed.
What did you think about the way you ran the ball last week?
Yeah, I thought it was the offensive line's best game of the year. I thought they blocked really, really, really well. I thought we had some nice runs. I also thought we left a ton of yards out there. We had a couple times we got the ball to the safety and got tackled. A couple times we kind of missed the hole. So I thought the guys played hard, but I thought we left a lot out there, and we could have run the ball for a lot more yards than what we got. The 20-yard gain could have been 80. Just a block here. So there's definitely was some improvement, but there needs to be more.
Coach, the snaps swung in Emmett Johnson's favor pretty markedly. Was that a matchup thing, or what's the reason for that?
Well, Ramir was out. Ramir Johnson was out, and then Dante was hurt during the week, so he didn't practice. He got stepped on a rep on Tuesday, and so then on Wednesday he didn't play as much, and then. So I don't think it was anything necessarily other than just kind of that. And then so we're kind of going back and forth between those two guys. And Gabe, I think, got a player here. And then the 2-minute, is Emmett. So it just was probably more of the depth chart than anything else. I think had Ramir been healthy, he'd have had a significant role in that game.
When we look at the season, week 1 and week 2, you usually make big improvements. Do you think the same thing, the same philosophy for offense, like you had your week 1 basically against USC? Your expectation is that you're going to take a jump this week offensively.
I just think we'll get better and better and better. As I pointed out to the guys, there's no new plays, right? Like the touchdown to Emmett was drive pout, which was the first down we threw against Colorado last year that, Borkacher caught the backside dig. It's the same play. We threw the check down to Emmett. It's just I think Dana's done a really good job of coming in and kind of saying, hey, here's things we're going to do, and we're going to practice them this way. But we left a lot out there offensively. There weren't a lot of big plays. There could have been some more big plays. There's field goals in the red zone, not touchdowns. We had some opportunities for guys, some guys to score in the red zone. We just didn't make it happen. So I'm encouraged by how cleaner it looked, but also expect more. We're gonna have to score more points to win games.
How does reviews the game with how many coaches is he reviewing it with at this point?
Sorry.
When Dylan reviews the game on Sunday, how many coaches is he reviewing it?
Yeah, I'm not involved with that. I have him. He's watching it with Glenn and Dana. Yeah, they're doing their thing. So.
How was the in-game communication? And was Dana on the headset with Dylan when he's on the field? And just doing that for the first time in the middle of the season, how did that go?
I think it was, it would be like, just to put it in context what Dana did, it would be like you guys, having to write this on a deadline and having to write it in Italian with a translator next to you. It'd be hard, right? This is all new language. We're in 2 minutes, and he's, I thought Glenn and Garrett did a great job of helping. I thought Dana prepared at a really high level. I think that will only get better and better and better. And again, that I left that game, as I said, feeling encouraged about, hey, the offense is at some point here going to really take off with kind of the direction we're headed.
On the other side of some of those missed opportunities you mentioned offensively, how did the
defensive guys respond to seeing on film some of the things that were left out there on that side with plays where they had their hands on footballs and routes that they tried to jump where they didn't make plays. What did you come away with?
Yeah,
that?
they were all three touchdowns. The first play where it's cover three and guy scrams around, the guy gets behind Tommy. The touchdown over top of Malcolm's head. It's cover two with a safety that chases a route. That's a veteran secondary that didn't play very well in those key moments. And I think they'd be the first to tell you that they're really upset with themselves. The deep touchdown, to number 2, that should never be a touchdown. I mean, those are all simple day one routes. So we had every opportunity, So again, and I always say it because I'm always very careful what to call out and what not to. But my point to our guys is this: I think after the game, when you guys asked me, do you feel snake bit? No, I expect our cover 2 safety to play cover 2, and I expect our cover 3 corner to stay deep. And if we had done that in that game, those plays would have been eliminated. I mean, that young man was running away from MJ. We expect us to sack him on the first long play down the right side. I'm not so sure he wasn't even just trying to throw the ball away, and he just kind of got caught. So we're not snake bit. We're not unlucky. There's no curse. You got to play the defense called. If it's cover 3, play cover 3. You don't guess and play cover 4. So that's there weren't a lot of times. There weren't a lot of times where it was like, hey, we just, we're playing man, we just can't cover this guy. It wasn't that. It was those things. So those near misses are all, to me, they're all of our own doing, Mitch. Now I want to flip that. Their run game I thought was elite. Going into the game, I said it was elite. Number 4 was elite. We that I would say we have to be better at. But those big plays never should have happened. And we were giving up about 13 points a game down this stretch last year, and we're giving up a touchdown or 2 more now because of some of those type plays, and we can't give them up.
Why do you think those have happened with such a veteran group?
I think you're playing. Anything you say right now will sound like an excuse, so I have to be very careful. I think you're playing better teams in bigger moments, more complex offenses. You start looking at what, you were playing these Pac-12 teams. The offenses are more complex than what we saw last year. Some of the offenses we saw last year were like inside zone, RPO, and a couple drop back passes. You're seeing way more. And so, when you're facing really talented players with a complex offense, one mistake can be a touchdown. At the same time, I also expect our guys to regroup and play it better. But probably that.
We didn't get to ask you this after the game, but how surprised were you to see that many Nebraska fans travel out to USC for the game?
Oh, I kept telling our guys, like, hey, we're not going to need silent count. I mean, I knew our fans would travel. People that I've talked to have said they were going to be out there. It was awesome. It was just disappointed we couldn't, get the win for them because they traveled and they supported and they made that, feel like a home game. And it was really an advantage in that atmosphere. So, as always, grateful for that support.
So what do you like when you think about the fact that Wisconsin's won a lot of games in this series? Have your players talked to you about that streak, and do you address that directly this week?
I don't know that I might address it in passing. I mean, just as the opportunity it is, right? It's a rematch game from last year, right? It's that pain of walking off the field in overtime. It's an opportunity to come back from that. It's an opportunity to end a streak that's been there a long time. There's a lot of opportunities. It's still just, but again, it comes down to, like, if you're playing cover 2, play cover 2. If you get to the safety, make a miss. It just still comes down to, doing your assignment, playing really hard, not being distracted. Not being, I can't say not being distracted enough. So that's why sometimes you talk about the opportunity, so guys don't get distracted and get unfocused. To me, if there's any outside element for me this week, it's those seniors and just how I felt last year walking off the field with, Grant, Taggy, and Nick and Luke, all those guys, man, after the Iowa game, just how I felt for them, and so we've had it's been such a unique season, and we've had some really, really great moments, and I don't know if you'll ever be able to recapture the feeling of beating Colorado, in the pick 6 in that game, and and then to now be in the tough spot that we're in, you're just kind of looking for everybody to kind of rally together and push us through. And I don't want to be in the offseason, Sam, talking to Jamari Marquise now, let's say, who's coming back about, hey, we got to learn how to break through. Like, we're in the same spot as last year. You've got to break through so that there's something new next year that you're going for. And so that's what the end of the year is about to me. It's not about optics. It's not about hope. It's about action. It's about doing things. And so we had every right to win the game last week. We didn't get it done. So it'll be another close. It's 3 straight games. Ohio State, I think it's Ohio State, UCLA, that the game comes down to the last drive, right? And we have the ball that, we're going to have to go down at some point and win the game. And, Wisconsin just played a great game against Oregon. They played a great game against Penn State. They're talented. It'll be probably come down to the last drive. And I want our seniors to win one of those. And so I'll do everything I can, and I expect our staff and players to.
On that last drive, Dylan thought he gave a mature answer after the game about the last play and what he saw. How did that sit with Jamal, others on your team to see? I hadn't seen the replay of that when we talked to you after the game, but obviously later saw it. Anything you can share on just how the guys felt about that?
I haven't talked to them about that, I sat up here 2 weeks ago and said, hey, no more apologies. Hopefully there's no more apologies. I've taken the tact I've tried to take. I don't know what else to say. I'll just, I sat here this time last year with, talking to the commissioner, the head of officials last year after the last game with apology about, hey, Matt, we blew the instant replay against Iowa. Sorry, you guys are going to a bowl game. I can't tell you how many times this year I've gotten those calls. So, Troy's on it. I mean, I'm going to focus on us just playing better, not worry about those things. But you can't, whether it was the one down by the goal line or that one, we saw last week, BYU and Utah come down to a play like that, right? So, I don't know what else to say other than I'll let Troy handle that, and I'll do the best I can just to make sure we play better football.
In his press conference today said it's going to be a collaborative group effort with the coaching staff on calling plays. How much, if anything, does that change how you guys prepare for that? If, you don't know any coaching tendencies or anything like that with who's going to be calling.
Yeah, I think it's probably a lot like us last week. Like you probably can't change the core plays of what you do, and they've probably all been collaborating them all year long. So I think you have to get into the game and recognize sort of, hey, here's how they're calling it today. They've got one of the best wideouts in the Big Ten in Pauling. I know he went down in the last game. I don't know his status. Locke's done a really nice job for them. They've got big, powerful backs and a great O-line. And so at the end of the day, for us, when we stop the run on defense, we play pretty well. When we don't give up big plays, we play pretty well. A lot of you go back to Ohio State this past game, when you're facing skill guys like those teams have, going back to Sam's question, just one simple mistake in the secondary can result in a big play. When you're facing teams that aren't as talented, maybe you come off and you make a tackle for a 20-yard gain. Wisconsin's got skill. They've got guys on the outside who can run. So we'll have to eliminate the big plays, try to stop the run, try to contain the quarterback, and just kind of get into the game and see how they're playing. We were a little bit more this past game offensively, a little bit more probably getting the ball out of our hand a little quicker. So that was our change. We'll see what their change is.
You said that the line obviously protected well. Only 2 passes of more than 10 yards. I think one more than 20. What's going on in the downfield passing game that just didn't hit?
I don't know that we took a ton of those shots. We threw a couple. We threw the go ball the first play of the game. I was arguing for a defensive hold on that play, right? I think early on you don't get it. You're kind of like, all right, well, it is what it is. They played a lot of man against us, and I thought we were efficient. I thought we recognized that we were going to take the ball out of our hand, get through progressions, but there was not a ton of explosive plays. Push the ball down the field type plays until we got into the 2-minute. We'll have to continue to work just as a group on getting off press and defeating man. Sometimes you talk to players, you talk to their parents, you talk to whomever, they're talking about who you're featuring. There's not really a lot of featuring of people. It's like it's in man who wins. And so the one thing about Dana's offense is he's going to throw the ball to the guy who's open. So we called some down the field. We just necessarily didn't win down the field at the level you'd like to. But I don't think any of that is representative of the offensive line. I thought the offensive line protected and won their one-on-ones, except for, we had one right before the half where we snapped it. It was supposed to be on 2, and the center snapped it on 1, so we gave up a sack on 3rd and 4. I would be remiss if I didn't say I thought Janier and Bonner played one heck of a game. I mean, I thought he was really, really. I mean, when you have a wideout that you can throw the ball to on 3rd and 10 and go get a first down on a screen, and then come in and crack the defensive end and run the ball. He's a special player, and when Dana comes in with a fresh set of eyes, sometimes as a player you're like, oh, they're not giving me a chance, or they don't see what I can do. When you have a new coach come in and he recognizes what you can do, it's pretty cool. So for all the young players today, I was able to point out, like, Janier and Bonner never complains. He played fullback last year. He runs down on kickoff. He plays on punt. He plays on punt return. Plays on kick return. So he's the type of player that we're just going to continue to try to find and build around. Tough, competitive, strong, physical, can make plays. I know that's not really what you asked, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. But I think Dana had a good plan in terms of, hey, getting the ball in some of those guys' hands a couple times and seeing what they can do. But yeah, I think we called some down the field shots and just didn't quite win on them and at the level we'd like to.
What is senior day like in the era of the transfer portal? Because you just talked about those guys that have been here 6 years. You also got guys that have been here 6 months.
Yeah. I mean, I think the way I've always looked at it is once you've played for me for life, right? Like I have guys that call and text me to this day that I had to throw off a team. Hey, you're not allowed to be here anymore. Doesn't mean I don't love you. I mean, I talked to Marcus Washington last week. I coached him for 6 months, right, a year. So it's a little different, but at the end of the day, they all made the decision to come here. They wanted to be here. I do think there's something special for the guys who were there for 4 years, for 5 years, for 6 years. I mean, there's no doubt, right? Like this for the last however many years, this has been a tough time for Nebraska football. And I'm here I'm going on my 2nd year, and I certainly feel the weight of it. I certainly feel like as you're trying to break through how hard and difficult it is, right? And I'm 49 years old, and I've done this twice before, so like I'm encouraged by those things. To think of the guts and the courage of Giff, of Ty, Nash, and all those guys, like I don't want to forget anybody, but you get the point. You think of the courage of Javen, just when they could have just left and gone somewhere else. Hey, I want to just go experience this, or they could have left and gone to the NFL. But for them just to keep coming back, I hope that's why I want to win so badly for them. I hope history looks back on them. I mean, in the Bible, they talk about those who stand in the gap. And I won't get religious on everybody, but like they've stood in the gap here, and they've taken some shots for it too. And they're still here. They're still standing, and so that's why I say what I say like this, so that our young players hear it. Because we'll break through, and we'll win, and we'll win at a high level. And a lot of guys will come in here, and they'll be a little bit more entitled. They'll be more concerned about what number they wear. They'll be more concerned about their NIL deal, what car they're driving. That wasn't Giff. That wasn't Nash. That wasn't Ty. Think about Nash, man. Goes out and wrestles, comes back out and plays football. He's got a bum knee right now. He's out there competing. Like I just absolutely love and respect these guys. And the success we will have will be built off their backs and the backs of the guys before and the backs of the guys before. So that's why this week's a really, really important week for me.
Those situations that you have when Jamari and Marquise come and say they want to come back, or they ask you if you can come back. Of course you want them, but how is that different this year going into the 2025 season than it ever has been for you as a coach because of the incoming roster limits?
Yeah, the roster limits are a real factor. I mean, it's just I can't imagine what's going to happen in the next 6 months. And if you're like a coach who's really cares about people, you're going to have to tell guys at the end of the season, like, hey, there's no spot for you here next year. So the guys can go and find somewhere else to go. And like, you have some players probably who are like, I'm not touching the ball enough, or I'm unhappy. And they're like, I'm going to go in the portal. And you think about the effect that's about to happen. The portal's already flooded. So we have 150, and we need to go to 105. That's 45 guys. Now I know some seniors, but we'll add some guys. Just think about 20 to 30 guys from every school having to go into the portal, and the effect it's going to have on FCS, and then on Division II, and then on NAIA and Division III. It's going to be, so to your point, when Marquise and Jamari say, hey, we want to come back, that's 2 more people now that can't be here next year. And so it's going to be really, not just unique. I sometimes say unique. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. And then, so what do? Do you not tell kids until next fall, oh, you're not a spot in the 105? The portal, I can't imagine what it's going to look like this year. It's going to it's going to be overrun, and it's going to be overrun with lots of really good kids. And so lots of really good kids who, we have some kids on our team that all they want to do is just go out and just be a Husker and practice and help the team. And, I've talked a lot about the guys who've, they've done all these different things here. There's a lot of guys that are going to walk on senior day that, man, like some of them are going to change the world, So is Grant Buda walking? Yes. 3.9 student. Made his way into camp because of the work he did this summer, made the elite list every week. He's going to be a doctor, wants to be an NFL orthopedic surgeon. In the future, that kid won't be able to be here, or I'll have to tell that kid, hey, you can't be here anymore. That's, for a guy that's wired like me, that's absolutely heartbreaking. It is what it is. We deal with it, but yeah, and it's impending. The reason why I sound like this, Mitch, is it's impending. It's not, next fall the roster limit's 105. Troy's asked all of us to be honest with everybody so that they can find a place. But you're going to have some really good kids that, man, they're not going to have a place, and it's going to be really, really, really hard.
What does that mean for guys like John Bullock, for example, who they carve out their role later in their career, but you don't know what they are when they're a freshman and get that opportunity?
That's exactly right. I don't know what that means for them anymore. I don't know what it means. I really don't know. I mean, when Ted Carter and Trev Alberts offered me this job, they said to me, we want you to build a program that's built on player development. They said that was the ethos of Nebraska. Tom Osborne, getting players here, a walk-on from Western Nebraska, a scholarship player from somewhere, get them here, develop them, teach them, train them, Then, college football, now you see some teams that are winning with a lot of transfer portal guys. So now the pressure goes on you to I better get some portal guys if I want to win and keep my job. I mean, but it's not really the ethos of what I want to do and who we are. And then there's those stories. Like Hassan Reddick is one of the highest paid players in the National Football League. He was a walk-on for us at Temple. And he was a 7th-round pick probably going into his senior year and ended up a 1st-round pick, kind of did what Ty did. So, we'll have to pick and choose our spots. We'll have to pick and choose our places. But it's really going to be hard. It might really benefit some FCS and Division II schools. There's going to be some great players coming out, but I don't know what's going to happen with the John Bullocks moving forward. I don't know what's going to happen with some of the guys who develop later in their career. But we'll do the best we can to be honest and do things the right way. But that's why this senior day, the senior day for some guys, it's going to be their last. It's going to be their last time. Obviously, if they graduate. For other guys, they might have to go find another place. So it's really going to. Hopefully, everyone really embraces this moment because this is kind of the end of an era. Like if you really think about it, we've outlawed, out legislated the true walk-on programs in college football, and this is really the last. This is the last group of kids that'll do that. Like some of you guys cover our recruiting. How many guys have you seen announce hey, I've been offered a preferred walk-on at University of Nebraska? Probably haven't seen very many of these this year, have you? Because I don't want to make a promise I can't keep. And for me as a former walk-on, and my strength coach as a former walk-on, and Sat was a former walk-on, I can't imagine my life if I hadn't been able to walk on at Penn State University. I can't imagine my life if I hadn't played for Joe Paterno and gotten my butt kicked by those guys every day. So, again, I'm probably waxing too poetic, but this Saturday's a big. This is a big. There's kids that love this place. That this will be the last day they put their pads on and go out there to be a Husker, and all settled in a courtroom somewhere. So it's a shame. It's a real shame. So that's why for me, this is one of the biggest weeks of my coaching career because I want to honor all those kids. I thank you guys very much.